Welcome back to another episode of Unpacking with Jennifer Satel. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here. Happy New Year. I know I said that on our New Year's episode, which was so exciting because we had two guys on there. And if you get a chance to listen, and you will know if there's new episodes by liking, subscribing, and following. But it's me. I'm just kind of chatting. I want to talk about a few things that have been going on in my life. I love to tell you guys some stories. And then I just have a couple things that I want to follow up with and share some of my insight in my world of organizing people's homes and offices. So first of all, I want to say that Christmas, everything went by so fast. We had to participate in the Elf on the Shelf this year. And I know we're in January and I'm talking about a Christmas thing, but I didn't get to do it last week. And I just want to say this. David and I thought we dodged a bullet on that one because up until last year, when Charlotte was almost 8 years old, she was 8 years old. She had never mentioned it. And all these people were talking about that. I go to people's houses and you can't touch the elf because of the magic and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh my gosh, please, please, for the love of God, do not get into the Elf on the Shelf. And I really thought the Kevlar vest I wear, there was going to be no bullets coming about this Elf on a Shelf. And the funny thing was, last year, she would start telling me about her friends and what the elf did. Oh, blah, 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 magic. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So my mom's like, she keeps talking about it. You're going to have to participate next year. So this year rolls around. I didn't know that on December 1st, you're supposed to bring out the freaking elf. And we got the girl one, and Charlotte named her Candy. And Candy, we didn't really know what to do. And I'm kind of like Googling like ideas and whatever. And so I didn't know you're supposed to bring her out to the 20 or the 1st. And it's like December 3rd. And she's like, Mommy, I wonder why Candy hasn't come out. And I'm like, who's Candy? And she's like, my elf. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I was like, oh, I don't know. And she's like, maybe because there's no magic in the house, because I had not I had not decorated the inside of the house, which I normally do on like the 1st. I just didn't have time. And so I get out one decoration. I put it out when she goes to bed that night. David is digging in all the bins we have of Christmas in the garage at like 11 at night looking for Candy. And we get her out, and the one decoration, I just had like a thumbtack, and I tacked her on there, and there's like a little hammock, and I had her sitting in the hammock. And I'm like, well, she found some magic. We have one of the decorations out. It made no sense. Like one day she's going to be like, are you kidding me? But we proceed with that whole thing. Cut to about 2 weeks in, let me go back. So after like 3 nights of that, David and I would just forget to move her. Cause I usually was the one that moved her. I forget. It's not in my, thing. So I would wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, did you move Candy? He's like, no. And I'm like running out there to move her because if Charlotte gets up before us, this whole thing. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is one more thing you have to think about. And so we do that. And then she comes up to me like 2 weeks in and she's like, Mommy, Candy has a very boring life. And I was like, really? Well, you showed me where she is and she looks like she's having fun. She's like, everybody else has, this, and she starts telling me all this stuff. So now I'm like, game on. I got to figure something out. So my neighbor, Nicole, is awesome. She is very helpful with stuff like this because she has 3 boys and one of them's 18, then 16, then 14. So they don't care about any of this stuff. And she thrives on it. She always wanted a girl, so she helps Charlotte with a lot of stuff I don't. Really, I'm not super crafty. So we told her, I think David had mentioned it. So she reached out to me. She's like, David said, Candy's life is boring. I'm in. And she literally within like 3 hours had like a spreadsheet. She had pictures for the next 2 weeks of each scenario that was going to play out. She had a bag of all the stuff so we can complete each day. And I'm like, you did all this in like 3 hours. Like, what the fuck? And it was so magical and Charlotte was so happy. And I just, we believe in the magic. So it was really fun. But I thought, oh man, I really thought we dodged that bullet. And she's already talking about candy next year. And I'm like, oh man, we got to already prep for that. Because before you know it, it's going to be freaking Christmas again. So that was something that was funny and just, I don't know, just David and I in the middle of the night, like tag teaming on like what to do. Like we got to move her. We got to think of creative. And then she's like, Candy's life is boring. Thanks. That one hurt. But anyways, that's enough about that. But I want to also say this weekend that just passed, for Christmas, David got Charlotte I noticed on Instagram, which Instagram is so, you get suckered into sometimes these ads and stuff like that because it's instead of, infomercials now, it's Instagram commercials or whatever you call them. And I happened to see one that was like, the Rams have a junior cheer day and it's 2 games of the year. So it was like in September and then it was at the end of the season, which happened to be this last weekend. And I knew Charlotte wouldn't do it unless one of her besties did it. So we asked the parents if they wanted to, participate. If not, we were going to squash it or ask maybe another friend. But it wasn't cheap. So, I know that's a big expense. And so the girls ended up doing the junior cheer. And I just wanted to just say it was really cool. I mean, a lot of this stuff is a lot of work for like 2 minutes, but it's worth it. But they finally announced Monday after Christmas when the game was going to be against the Cardinals because they weren't sure if it was going to be Saturday or Sunday. And we were kind of waiting. And so it ended up being Sunday. So Saturday, the mom and I drove down with the girls to the stadium, which I had never been to SoFi. It's an amazing stadium. Honestly, it's really great. It feels like, I don't know, it's just, new and clean and it's like it's so modern and like kind of futuristic-y with the ceiling the way it is or the roof the way it is. And it was really cool. But what was really cool was because we will never sit on the seats that close because it was just the parents of the kids waiting while they were practicing and rehearsing. We got to sit like in the 8th row and everyone was spread out. We just chose not to sit that close. We didn't need to, but I was like, we will never get seats down here. It was very cold though, which was interesting because I had a jacket and I thought for sure it'd be fine. I mean, it was very chilly. And we sat there for we ended up being there for 6 hours. But 4 hours was the girls practicing. And then they gave them this like swag bag, which was part of the deal was they get a full outfit. So they got like a t-shirt and then like the Rams like track outfit, like leggings and like a jacket. They got a bow, they got pom-poms, they got a clear bag, they got a water bottle, they got a purse thing. Then they ended up getting all this stuff from Hello Kitty. So I don't know if Hello Kitty was like part of a support for this, but it was like all these like bows and little stuffies and like all this stuff. And they had a great time and they went to the game. They did it before kickoff. So if any of you watched the game, there was this little, dance thing, but there was a lot of kids there. I'm guessing there was at least 250 kids. It starts at 5 and it goes up to, I think, 14. So, it was really cool. It was a lot of work for a 2-minute dance, but it was really cute. And then we stayed and watched the game after. And that was fun because Charlotte had never been to a football game. And it was just fun to see, when they get excited and, Rams and, everybody's, whatever. I'm not really a Rams fan. I'm not anything with them. I love sports. I've never really been a Rams fan. I know that sounds terrible, but I am not. But it was fun. I wore a Rams shirt. We cheered, screaming when they make some noise, get them rallied up. And Charlotte had such a good time. And it was fun. It ended up pouring right as we were walking out of the stadium and driving home and everything. But it was great. And if you ever get to do something like that, it's kind of like a once in a lifetime thing. I don't know that we're going to do that every year. It's not cheap, but it was well worth it, honestly. It was well worth it, and everybody had a good time. So that's the update on Charlotte and just like, some fun things that she got to do for Christmas. That was David's gift to her. And so It was pretty special. He was very excited, and that was fun. So anyways, with all of that being said, I hope all of you guys had a good holiday. We ended up not doing anything on New Year's, which was the first year in a while we hadn't done anything, which honestly was really nice. David and I watched a movie. It's a movie I've been wanting to see for a while. I wanted to see it in the theater, was F1 with like Brad Pitt as like a F1, race car driver or whatever. And it was really good, but it was 3 hours long. So anytime we would think about watching it, it's always like at 10:30 at night. And I'm like, there's no way I can handle 3 hours. I'll be asleep in 20 minutes. So we watched it. We, got food, and it was just a really nice night just to kind of be home. Charlotte was with grandma because my daughter absolutely loves doing New Year's with my mom because the last few years she's done it because we've gone out and just gone over to a friend's house for a party. But my mom gets the little blowies and the little glasses, and they got necklaces that say the year, and then she gets, appetizers. Well, Charlotte doesn't eat anything, but she eats mozzarella sticks. So she says to me this year, Mommy, are you and Daddy going to come to Grandma's party? And I was like, Grandma's having a party? She's like, me and Grandma and Jackson, which is my mom's dog. And I was like, you know what? I don't know that we're going to drive all the way down there because I work, the day before, the day after. And she's like, she's going to have mozzarella sticks. And I just hugged her because she's so freaking cute. She's like, but she's gonna have mozzarella sticks. And I'm like, we'll see, honey, but we have the 4 dogs and it's a lot for 24 hours, And she's like, okay, but Grandma got us glasses, all of us. And I was like, okay. And then, it was going to be raining and it was just a lot. So we ended up not doing that. But she kept talking about these mozzarella sticks and she's just so adorable. And every year I'm so thankful that she chose us to be her parents because every day with her is pretty special. So hug your kids, love your kids, Happy New Year. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit about a couple clients that I've had and a couple situations and conversations that I've had, because I can continue to talk about organizing, all the time, and I will. I love organizing people's lives and making their lives a little bit easier. I always joke and say I'm the extra set of hands that everybody needs. And, it's kind of this thing. But first of all, yesterday I had a consultation on the phone with a woman who had reached out to me, I think via my website, initsproperplace.com, if you guys didn't know. And, it comes up in there, hi, I'm, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And just kind of, I need help. And then she also sent me an email separately. So it goes through like the website email, but then she sent me a separate email. And she's like, I listened to your podcast. This was like a few days later. She's like, I listened to your podcast and I already know that I'm going to like talking to you and feel comfortable just by listening to your podcast. And I was like, really? Like, I was really happy to hear that, but I thought that was it meant a lot to me. I've mentioned before, I don't take compliments very well. I don't ask for them, but it's nice to hear them and I appreciate it. But when she said that she listens and she was laughing and she also just realized that she felt like I was somebody that would make her feel comfortable. And the reason I say that is because the next thing was when I talked to her yesterday on the phone, I've mentioned this before too. I know a lot of people, unfortunately, parents pass away, grandparents pass away, behaviors that were during those times, grandparents, they were during the Depression. They were during these hard times where you hung on to everything. So then their parents did the same thing because that's the cycle that they were in, right? They saw that their mom kept every butter container or every cream cheese container and, along with Tupperware or whatever. They kept every packet of sauces and whatever. And then so she said to me, my mom was a total hoarder. And a lot of times people use that word kind of loosely. They'll be like, oh my God, I'm totally a hoarder. I'm like, no, you're not. You may have a lot of stuff, but a hoarder is like the show. It is, you literally cannot walk in a room. You literally are paralyzed. And then it gets to a point where you don't know what to do. So she was telling me, yeah, my mom is a total hoarder. And that's what I grew up with. And I never thought of myself as a hoarder. I just thought of myself as always just having a lot of stuff. Now, she could walk through her house. You could never walk through her mom's house, she said. You could not. She also mentioned that she would there was always so much stuff on like the dining room table or any of the surfaces, right? It would be piles of stuff. So when she did her homework, it would just be on top of those piles, or she would move it, over a little bit to get her stuff down. Her mom never cleared off the table. You ate dinner on the piles, or you ate dinner in your lap, or maybe at a living room table, like a coffee table kind of situation. And I started thinking about it because, I have a lot of situations where I hear, I need help, or my parents really need help. Maybe they're downsizing and selling their house, or maybe they're going to go into assisted living, or maybe they're just going to go into like maybe an apartment or a condo because their kids have moved out and they don't need all that stuff. But this is like, it's generational. Like if we don't break that cycle and hoarding it's something, you don't just fix it by snapping your fingers. People are very nervous to get rid of stuff. Age has definitely something to do with it. I know that, like I said, they came in, grandparents came up during the Depression. You kept everything. I mean, down to the twist ties of the bread. I will see drawers of those because you just never threw anything away, which we cannot comprehend. I cannot comprehend. And it's just very interesting. I'm not like that. So it's hard for me, but I do empathize with how it is. And so she was explaining to me on the phone yesterday, my husband is kind of a minimalist, or he's very organized. Like he'll sit at the table and he has a space for himself. She kind of joked with me. She's like, yeah, my husband like organizes the spices. And then I went to cook and then I mixed them up and he was like all like kind of discombobulated because and she goes, I don't even think that way. She's like, I don't even think that I'm going to sit down at the table. I just set my laptop on the top of everything. She goes, when we moved into this house, several years ago, she's like, we had a guest room and whatever. And she's like, we just put all the stuff that we weren't using in that guest room and kind of closed the door, whatever. And she said, he said to me, well, he opened up the thing. He's like, well, what are we going to do with this? She's like, nothing. He's like, it can't stay like this. You can't walk in this room. And she's like, oh, like that's the mindset. And I do see this a lot more than I want to admit, maybe is, there is that mindset, like just, oh, if I close it off and shut the door. Now it's not to that degree. I'm not saying everyone has hoarder tendencies, but there are hoarder tendencies that you see. And what I'm seeing now when I go to people's houses, the parents they're messy, they're unorganized, and that's okay. I'm there, I'm helping, I'm trying to build systems. It's not just me going in there and saying like, let me make this look beautiful and picture perfect, and then I'm going to leave and you will also do the same, because I absolutely do not think that will happen. There are people that truly just are not organized. They're just messy, and that's okay. But you can't, it's hard to get mad at your children when you see those same patterns, right? So I go in and I've mentioned this before too. I have this one client who I adore to my bones, but she is unorganized. She is not messy. You go in their house, you can walk in the house, but again, a couple of those doors are closed. And when you open it, you're like, oof, okay, I see where we're storing stuff that we don't want people to see. And I go in her daughter's room, and she's just a little bit older than Charlotte, and the same thing. It's so funny to see what it is. It's like the clothes, like maybe she tried on clothes in the closet, took them off, didn't want them, just threw them back on the floor, didn't hang them back up. The little girl does the same thing. The drawers, maybe they don't close because they're so full, just they're open, stuff everywhere, just kind of wherever it lands, And I'm like, well, you can't get upset with her because she's following that's all she knows. She knows that you have tons of beauty products and you leave all the caps off and some of the stuff's out on the counter and whatever. That's what she knows. So, I'm trying to help break those habits, because it'll never be perfect. I don't go in there thinking that everyone's going to walk out of there and go, I went from a hoarder to a minimalist. But I try to make it so we really think about what is important to you. And like, I go into these homes that are gorgeous. I went into this home last week. It's a brand new build. They built it from the ground up, and it's not even 100% done. It's livable, but it's not 100% completed. And, and there's, obviously there's still stuff everywhere because they're unpacking and stuff. But I'm like, you have this gorgeous house. Amazing. It's like 3-story, beautiful home, custom everything, beautiful everything. And it's like, let's not make it look like a playroom, because I've already walked in there and where they, functioning is like just stuff is everywhere. And I'm like, we gotta nip this in the bud here before we get comfortable in this home, because it's, she's like, oh, I just don't like all this stuff everywhere. It's like, okay, then we need to figure out where to put it and hopefully teach the kids. Her kids are on the littler end, so it is going to be more challenging, but where stuff goes. I always have a place, hence the name of my company. I really do try to give you a place for everything. And going back to the hoarder conversation I had yesterday, she was really sweet, a retired teacher, and she is like in her early 70s. And she was laughing, and she goes, so I told you, she mentioned, oh, I listened to your podcast, and I don't know how many episodes, maybe she just listened to one. I have no idea. The fact that she referenced it just was really special. But when I was done, we were kind of winding down, like, let me know. I always say to people when they don't know where to start, I always say this sentence: what room makes you want to poke your eyes out the hardest, or what room makes you want to scream into a pillow? Because if we don't know, sometimes you just think of that. And when all else fails, I tell people, let's start with the kitchen. It's the heartbeat of the house. You want to make sure you have that aligned. Everyone eats, everyone drinks, everyone goes in the kitchen. The guest room that's off to the side that you don't use except for storage, maybe that's not the priority today. And so when I was wrapping up with her, she's like, I am so glad I'm talking to you. You are exactly the person I need to help me with this. And I was like, thank you. And she goes, you just have all of the things I was thinking, what do I do in this situation? You covered all of those in our short conversation on what you do to deal with it. Like, I'm not going to make you, there's no gun to your head to throw things away. There's suggestions, or let's try this, or you're not ready today to make a decision on that. Let's keep it for now. And then maybe, you figure it out next time, or you figure it out in 6 months or whenever, nothing. I can't cure people that, have hoarder tendencies. That's very challenging, because I have gone to hoarder houses, and it's hard because they're struggling to throw away a paperclip. And you're just like, you could buy one for 50 cents and a whole box of them. And they want to keep all the paper clips. They want to do this. And I have several clients like that. And it's just something to just kind of keep your, I keep my eyes and my ears open, because listening to her, I knew what to say to her. The first person that came to me that was a hoarder, I probably didn't know what to say exactly, because I can't just say, well, we're going to throw it all away, because this is not just a throw it all away situation. This is it's mentally paralyzing, and it's scary, and it's not okay. So with that being said, that was a fantastic conversation I had with her. I told her to talk to her husband, because I said, what do you want to do? What room? What I said, make sure you want to poke your eyes out. And she started laughing. She's like, oh my gosh, all of them do, and whatever. And then I said, maybe ask your husband, and she kind of was like, I should ask my husband. I'm like, what's the one he wants to poke everybody's eyes out, or burn the house down? We kind of joke about that. And she was like, just thank you so much for just being so warm and everything. And I was like, you're welcome. And, that's where we're at on that. And so I do deal with that and kind of custom some of my conversations based on that, because, I see it every day for almost 10 years. So with that being said, that was a story that it meant a lot to me, but also I see this all the time. It's not just, it's not just black and white. None of this is black and white. People have so much anxiety when I go to their house about what to do. I've also had to learn how to navigate that, because to me, some cases I'll give somebody a pile of stuff and I'll tell them, go through this. While you're doing that, I'm going to do this. And I'll see them just standing there staring at it. And I realize I actually have to go up to them and be like, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. Some people need that, because they're like, I don't know, I can't make a decision. I don't know what to do, and it's like, my brain doesn't work that way. And I want to help them. So it's like, what can we do to make your life a little bit easier? And I do see the relief, and that's what I enjoy doing. And if you guys know anybody that's looking for somebody to help, or parents that maybe are downsizing their home, or grandparents, maybe are going into assisted living, whatever the situation is, initsproperplace.com is a great way to, hear my story about how I got started. And also, if you want to schedule a consultation, just talk. You may not use my services, but you can just talk to me about what you're going through and see if I can help you that way. Another thing I want to talk about is, so it's interesting, because I have a lot of clients that some of them now, because I've been helping them for years and I know them, they don't need to be around. There are some people that literally want to stand right next to me the whole time for every single thing I'm doing and kind of see. But I had a new client, which was a referral, and she's amazing. It's so nice. I get to meet, some really great people. But it was funny because on the phone, when we were talking, before I even knew she had just got this house completed, mostly, and unpacking, she wanted to start with the kids' playroom. She has 3 kids, and she's like, do I have to be there and like be there? And I was like, you don't have to be there. You just, I'll ask you a couple questions and you tell me like the kids like this. If stuff's broken, I just make that decision. Because she's like, I really don't want to see all that stuff. Like, I just want somebody to make that decision for me, and I just won't have the kids around and blah, blah, blah. And it was like so smooth. Anything I had questions on, I would just shoot her a text message with a few pictures of some of the bigger items, all the loose stuff that we used to hang on to. Like, I keep saying this, and I know it sounds like I am a broken record, but kids will never not continue to get stuff. Whether it's goodie bags from birthday parties, whether it's Easter or Valentine's Day. I didn't get shit for Valentine's Day when I was a kid. It wasn't even a thing. I don't think David and I don't celebrate Valentine's Day really. I do stuff for Charlotte, of course, because that's what you do now. I think I got nothing. I don't remember ever getting anything for Valentine's Day ever. And I could be wrong, and my mom's probably listening, so she'll be like, oh, you don't even remember what I gave you? But no, I don't. I know Easter there was, presents, but not like now. I mean, like, now you have to do stuff for like St. Patrick's Day and freaking, this day and that day. It's like, what? We didn't do jack shit for any of that stuff. Easter, the Easter bunny came and that was great. Santa Claus came, that's great. Most of my clients are Jewish, so they have Hanukkah, which they get 8 days of gifts, and some of them celebrate both. So then they get the gifts and then they get more gifts. And it's just, I'm like, the kids will not miss a lot of this stuff. As the kids get a little older, like Charlotte, is 9, she remembers some of this stuff. Like, if I got rid of, I wouldn't do this, but if I got rid of all of her Barbies, she would notice. But I get rid of stuff all the time, like little tchotchke things that she was like, had to have, or she got it from a party and it's so special. But now I don't do it as much. But when she was younger, I would just go in. When she would go to my mom's, I would go in there with a trash bag or a couple Target bags. It would just be the little crap, all the little crap, and just be done with it. And she was none the wiser. And some people are like, I feel bad about, little Johnny. He loves that. Yeah, well, we'll keep what he loves. He's 3 years old. He's not going to remember, but he'll be a empty box is probably more exciting. Do you know how many houses I go to where the kids actually, they'll keep the really big Amazon boxes for them to make like cars to be pulled around in the house, and like they'll make forts out of them. There's some of the smaller kids, or the bigger boxes, smaller kids, they make these like configurations with tape, and the parents will help them make these like little, whatever. And I'm like, you just saved. I mean, your mom bought something on Amazon, of course, but like the toys, it's like instant gratification, I feel. And I could be wrong there on some level, but it is instant gratification. Charlotte, if we go to Target, she always wants to look at the toys. She knows now not to ask as much as she did, but it would be the thrill of opening the toy. Then she would set it down and move on. One of Charlotte's first Christmas where she wasn't just a baby. I think she was like 3. She had like 150 presents. It was absolutely insane. And were they worth a lot of money? No. But you wrap all the little stuff, a little, nightlight, just everything. Everything was wrapped. So she's opening it. And we caught on real quick that she would open it, set it down, go to the next one. Open it, set it down, go to the next one. And I'm like, same thing applies for these kids. I mean, they're always going to have stuff. So this mom, she didn't care. I came out there guns blazing with my label maker, with my bins. She had bins, and I used everything and just made their life simple. And I said, this is what I can do. When they start to read and they understand, they're not going to put it away nicely, but if somebody is helping put it away, they know where it goes. And that's the thing that I love. I love helping people just feel like they can breathe. And her house is, again, it doesn't matter if it's an older house. It doesn't matter if it's a 300 square foot house or a 20,000 square foot house. It doesn't matter. The result is the same. You want to feel like it's a home. You want to feel that you're not moving 75 things to get to one thing. You want to remember that you don't need all the stuff. It is just stuff. And yes, as women, we love new shoes. We love new clothes. We feel good when we have this. We get new makeup. We do this. Men, it's a little different. They, maybe a t-shirt excites them or a hat. I feel like David gets really excited when he gets a new hat. And that's funny and great, but it's just stuff and, important things, obviously, jewelry, nice jewelry, you're not getting rid of that kind of stuff, but these little nothing crapola that you have 47 of the same black t-shirt and most of them are worn. You've gotten your money's worth. We can part with some of them. You don't need 50. Maybe you only keep 15. It's like that kind of, you don't have to get rid of it, but maybe thin it out. And I think a lot of times the clutter, I keep saying this because I truly know this for a fact, the clutter that's in your house is also in your head. And we walk around with these lists of day-to-day things that we have to do. And I've said this before too, every house I go to that has hired me, I would say 99% of those houses at some point on some notepad, whether I'm in the office, at the kitchen, somewhere, it'll say like a to-do list and somewhere it's organized. Sometimes it's organize the house. Sometimes it's specific, organize the drawers, organize my closet. And that's on the 27th thing to do that day. It's so nice to have an extra set of hands and I have no emotion going in. And that's why I feel that I'm very empathetic. I don't understand wanting to keep all of that stuff. I just didn't have that much growing up, I guess, where I had to worry about that. I mean, I had stuff. I had a lot of stuff, but not till I was a little bit older, like maybe 9 or 10 years old, where I remember having more than just, 2 or 3 dolls, or 2 Barbies. I had 2 Barbies when I was growing up, 2 Barbies. Charlotte probably has 50 Barbies. She asked for Barbies from Santa. And then that also translated to Santa listened as well as anybody else. So she got, and I'm like, how are you even playing with all these Barbies? But she does. She plays with them still. She's kind of dwindling off the toys, but Barbies I feel they don't go out of style. They're cool. They have so many Barbies too. I mean, geez Louise. Volleyball Barbie and freaking I'm at a desk Barbie and bunk bed Barbie and Skipper's babysitting Barbie. And those are all the ones Charlotte got. That's how I know them. And, imagine trying to figure out all those pieces. And I remember too, when I first started, Charlotte was so little. So she still had all the stuff that just was crinkly and, made noise. But I would be like, the parents would be like, oh no, that goes to this, that goes to this, that goes to this. It's these little, little characters or whatever. I'm like, how do you even know this? And they're like, well, it's what she got. Just like, I know it. I see it. I play with her. I'm like thinking, that's like so much. How would you even remember that? And here I am at people's houses like, okay, this goes with this goes with this, because I've seen it now, for 9 years. I've seen it and the toys and what you get. And Charlotte, she wanted all of that stuff. And it's just, I don't know. It's just clutter in our minds, and people love stuff. And it feels good to get stuff. But sometimes I just think, I tell a lot of my clients, don't buy anything for 1 month. Obviously, if you need toilet paper or you need food, but just don't buy anything for 1 month. For the people that I really have, shopaholic tendencies, maybe a little bit of hoarder tendencies, just try not to buy something for 1 month. Don't buy clothes, don't buy shoes, don't buy makeup. Because what do you end up doing? Makeup you buy, it's expensive, and then you're throwing it away because it doesn't last forever. It doesn't matter that it's sealed in the package. If you've had it for 10 years, I'm not putting that mascara on my eyes because the ingredients in it have probably turned. So just remember, you're just literally throwing the money away. And I try to, just kind of keep it in line. I'm not changing lives, but I am trying to help and make you feel like you have a home and you don't have to move 27 things or put stuff in bags and hide in a closet and then forget about those bags. So then when I open that closet, there's 47 like reusable shopper bags that you probably had to pay 10 cents for too, because you forgot the bags because they were filled with shit in your closet. And then you had to buy extra bags because you needed bags, but they were being full of shit in a closet you never revisited and were able to empty out. And then I go there and empty them out. And then what happens? Most of that stuff ends up being donated or trashed. So you just put it all in there for nothing. And some people hit their threshold. We've talked about this before. I've talked about this. You've hit your threshold. Hiring me sometimes is where you hit your threshold. Some people just want the help Maybe they don't know where to place stuff, especially in a new home. You're like, I'm not really sure, this, that, and the other. And I can kind of, make the kitchen flow a little better. The lady I was helping, the way that they had emptied out stuff, which was fine. They emptied it out of the boxes. That's fine. I just said, I'm just going to kind of clean up the flow so it makes a little more sense for you. And she was like, oh my God, that's great. Did she have all the space to do that? Absolutely. So there's situations where you don't have the space, but you just reach out, get an extra set of hands to kind of guide you, and it'll make your life so much easier. We get our hair done. We get a gardener. We get, our toenails done. We do all these things that we could do ourselves. You also can organize, but it's when are you going to take the time to do it, and you're connected to it. So, one client that I was helping, the husband actually reached out to me and he's like, my wife's not going to come in here because she's going to see what you're doing and it's going to, not that it's bad. I'm not like getting rid of like diamonds, but half Tupperwares with no lid, I'm going to throw away because guess what? What's the point? But he's like, she's going to stay away. So don't think she's being rude, but she just realized she's going to stay away. And she did and everything. And she's like, holy crap, I can't believe how great this looks. Right. But she wasn't invested because everything was an emotional connection. So those are things that I see daily. I like to share what I see and kind of just give you little tips and tricks and everything like that. So another area I want to mention is, another thing that comes up a lot is, and this is a little bit off topic, but still in the organizing world, is kids' clothes. So I have a lot of clients that have multiple kids, right? 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, 3 I feel is pretty standard in a lot of homes. And one of the things I see is if, let's say you have a 12-year-old and then you have like an 8-year-old and let's just say 2 of them are girls and 1's a boy. The boy, he's going to always get new clothes because he's the boy. But a lot of times we trickle down, right? Because it's expensive. As you know, you guys, everything is so expensive right now. It's always expensive, but right now in the last like year or two, it is like tripled, quadrupled, in cost. And yes, why would you buy more clothes, especially at this age when they are growing like a weed? And also, I mean, Charlotte, she wears a uniform. Her uniforms are thrashed. And also, she still plays pretty hard. She's on the playground. She's doing stuff. Her stuff is dirty and stained. Like the white shirt is more grayish brown. So the little girl who's 12 and now the little girl who's 8 or 6, and then the boy, he's fine because he's going to get he's going to get his own stuff. But you're trying to share, right? A little bit, eliminate some of the cost. Well, by the time they get in that size, years have passed, okay? So you're holding on to stuff in these bins and bags, and maybe it's 4 years until she can wear that size. Well, if especially with like swimsuits and like underwear and stuff like that, the elastic is like crunchy. Jeans, anything with like elastic, some of the clothes from like Carter's and that type of thing where it's a little bit, it's mass produced, it's a little bit cheaper for us, but that stuff doesn't hold up. And we're talking about at least 4 years, and we're hanging on to that stuff. And I see that a lot and then the kid might not even like it because now they're developing their own style. They might not even want that stuff. So it's like, just kind of be mindful, because I'll see closets in kids' rooms because, they don't have that much stuff. The top shelves where they can't reach, or the very, very top, bags and boxes and bins and bags and boxes of bins, and like so many, right? Because that 12-year-old was the first child and now maybe the second or third child. So the first child always gets everything. And then down to the third one is getting the hand-me-down. You've glued together, you've re-sewn it so you don't, they kind of miss the boat. But I'm like, you're hanging on to all these clothes and stuff. It's not necessary because they're not going to be worth saving. Some of the shoes, they're worn. The kids might not like them. So think about that before you're just automatically keeping every single thing, packing it up and putting it away. Can you? Absolutely. Should you maybe just like revisit it and go, you know what? These are pretty beat up now. In 4 years, are we going to care? There's, again, always going to be stuff. I always get Charlotte stuff the year of the end of clearance sale. I'll get a lot of her stuff for the next size or 2 sizes ahead. When it's like dirt cheap, like Old Navy, they have, uniform stuff. I try to wait till it's done and then I'll get her uniform, bottoms there. And, it's maybe $8, $10 versus $20. That's a big deal when she burns through these clothes, especially the pants, man. She plays hard. She has fun and I love it. But, just think about those things. These are just like little tricks that I see all the time. And I'm like, why are we keeping 4 years of clothes that the kid might not even like, where we can donate them and give them to somebody who doesn't have anything and maybe only keep 1 or 2 bins of the good stuff, maybe the Christmas dresses, stuff that they've only worn a little bit, that stuff's good. But the little, leggings that they wore every single day that are stretched out and brown when they were once white, we don't need to hang on to that stuff. And shoes. Charlotte is brutal with shoes. I mean, she always wants white shoes. And I'm like, no. You can have white with white and black, white and purple, white and pink, whatever you want, but just not white, because the second she wears the white with pink, they're already brown with pink. And she's been at school 1 day. And so those are also like, let's just donate them or put them in a little pile. So if you have like friends over or something, I like to do that with like swimsuits that maybe Charlotte has only worn once and never. And then if we go somewhere, I bring them so kids have extra swim just in case. They can always borrow them if they've worn them like once or twice, because sometimes Charlotte wears the same one. Like she'll love one and then the other 17, and we're not saving them because they get crunchy and the chlorine eats them and all of these things that just kind of go in line with what I do and like what I pay attention to and just stuff that, we all have. And that's what I try to guide you with. That's what I try to talk about. And hopefully you can take some of these tips and use them when you are organizing your house, or if you ever need help, obviously reach out to me or any other organizer in your area if you're not, in California. But yeah, just kind of think about those things. I'm not one to like, does this outfit bring you joy? I'm not knocking that. It's just, is it important to you? Does it mean a lot to you? Is it something that you wear a lot? Is it something that you wear or you have in your closet and you grab it to wear and then you never actually put it on? Let's part ways with that and just make your life and your brain a little simpler. Because right now everything is so chaotic. School's back in session. So now we're doing all the tutoring and art and, choir and theater and all of these things that they want to do. And we had a little bit of a break, which was nice. And if I can help you in any way clear out some of the extra work, let me know. And I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for subscribe, and following. YouTube, TikTok, all of the places that and now that we have video, we're on. If you want to get more tips, if you want to laugh, if you want to cry, follow, then when a new episode drops. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon. That's a wrap on today's episode of Unpacking with Jennifer. I hope you're walking away with a little inspiration and a few practical tips to make life at home just a little bit easier. If you love the episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you found it helpful, I'd love if you left a quick review. It helps more moms like us find the show. This episode was engineered by Robert Altschuler. Music by Coldfire. Recorded and mixed at Command Recording Studios.